All right, quick layout update for December 2020. In the layout tour video, I mentioned that I was having to still finish these towers. These are the towers for the Castle River Bridge. I still had to put the footings on the bottom, and the footings have to have ice prows at each end. So after, humming and hawing, going back and forth, trying to figure out how I was going to do this, I decided what I would do is I would cast them in two pieces, and they'd be two identical pieces that would clamp on each side of the towers. The towers are just 3/4 inch plywood, so I'd cast two pieces that were identical. One would face one direction, one would face the other direction, and then they would just simply clamp over the top of that tower. My son, who's 10, said, "Hey Dad, why don't you just try and cast it so it fits over the top?" So 10-year-old mind, 50-year-old mind, 10-year-old mind, somewhat sharper than the old man here. So I decided, okay, well, if we're going to do that, let's try and make this mold so it all keys together as a one-piece mold, and it's super simple and easy to do. So everything's going to key off the top. It's two prows, two sides, and they just fit into these slots. And then the interior is going to fit over inside slots as well, and the pressure of the plaster is going to hold that one out. Everything's held together with elastic bands, inside and outside. Okay. So your inside slot, same thing, held with elastic band around the inside aligning tabs. Okay, inside you don't care if the elastic band stays in there or not, it doesn't matter. Okay, the inside plugs cast as a taper, so it's wider at the bottom, narrow at the top. It's 3/4 inch at the top, but if it's a little bit tight, all you do is you just trim a tiny bit of that inside lip off, and it should slip right over the top here. So this one, wiggle it down a little bit. Might fit better the other direction for whatever reason. And that kind of gives you the look that we're going for. These ones are just proof. This is a proof of concept casting. I'm still going to go in and I'm going to add some casting marks into the inside of the mold so that when they come out it looks like actually cast concrete. Okay, and just to kind of give you an idea how that's all going to look, we'll drop the bridge in place and you can see what we're going for. I mentioned in the November update video that I was really trying to focus on Burmis by end of year. So I decided I was going to work from west to east and see if I could kind of meet up in the middle here. So looking west, Highway 3, milepost 49.9, that's west siding switch Burmis, coming across the Crow's Nest River here. I didn't get my bridge abutments and my piers cast up, but that'll be a project coming up here real quick to try and get this all tied together and finished off. I got 20 feet of backdrop, 20 feet of scenery done to the level that you see here. Still some static grass and some grass tufts to drop in a few spots, but for the most part it's 20 feet done to this level. I spun up another 350 trees. I got about 270 planted here, so I got about 70 or 80 sitting in reserve. I want to do some foreground tree work so that the trains are dipping in behind trees in spots here. Kind of finalized what this little spur track's going to be. These bulkheads here with the stakes on them are going to be stuffed into there, and it's going to represent a transload facility. So there's either been a forest fire or there's been some blowdown, but there's lumber sitting on the ground that they want to use up. So trucks are bringing it down out of the hills, down to railhead here, and we're going to transload it onto these bulkheads and ship it. I think we're going to go east with it. Still have to do some painting of the fascia here where I patched in the hole where the switch control panel was for the west siding switch of Burmis. Rolling across past the crossovers here, and there's some of those log flats loaded up. And one of Prairie Shadow's W900s hauling a chassis. I'm going to build some 53-foot skeleton log trailers, and that's how we're going to get the logs down out of the hill. Got a couple of GHQ log loaders that I'm going to put in here too. Just have to build those up, and that'll complete that scene. So I ran out of static grass right here just before Christmas, and the stuff that I thought I still had, wasn't the right material. So my good friend Jeff in Winnipeg shipped me off a bag that he had in reserve, and I was able to complete this in just a few days ago, right up to this marsh scene here. Still have to do the foreground, but that's going to have to be a January project. So that's what I got up to in December. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, and we'll touch base again in the new year.